There is a strange syndrome spreading across Europe. It's called post-American travel syndrome. They come to America thinking it is an unstable, divided country, but then they return feeling as if they have lost a part of their soul.
I feel like I've been lied to my entire life about America. Like, I'm in Florida. This beach is insane. Like, just as good as Australian beaches.
Everywhere you go in the US, it's like a completely different world.
To be fair, I don't know where the sun is coming from, but then it just starts raining for like 10 minutes. Unexpectedly, all just turns all grey, so it's still not been great. So obviously...
What is really happening? Why do people living in countries that are considered the most livable in the world crave freedom, comfort, and positive energy from the land of the free so much? In the next 20 minutes, from an economic behavioral perspective, we will dissect this strange reverse disillusionment. You will understand why a short trip can shatter all their lifelong prejudices. Watch the entire video, and your perspective on America will completely change. To understand why Europeans experience such severe psychological shock when returning home, we must start with what first catches their eye upon arriving in America: space.
America. I cannot get my head around how big this country is. My childhood friend, Dan, has moved to New York, Long Beach. We were chatting the other morning. I was like, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. He was like, no, it's not. It's 9 o'clock. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, there's a 3-hour time difference from San Diego to New York.
Please, my American friends, you have to explain me how this works, because my European mind can't comprehend what's going on here. You have these incredible high buildings, but what's in there? Do people actually live in these skyscrapers?
Do you hear that? Driving until your legs are sore, spending the whole day and still not leaving one state? For a European, where you only need to drive for about 3 hours to enter another country, speak a different language, and eat a different type of bread, the scale of America is truly a shock. But the question arises, why does this difference in planning create such a strong psychological reaction? To explain this from an economic and social perspective, let's look at the age of the two civilizations. America is a young country. This year, America turns 250 years old. Most cities in America were built during the industrial and automobile age. They had the privilege of planning everything from a blank slate, vast highways, intelligently grid-patterned streets, and expansive parking lots. Everything is designed optimally for convenience and the flow of economic activity. In contrast, European cities carry a heritage of thousands of years. The winding, narrow streets in London or Paris were originally designed for horse-drawn carriages from the Middle Ages. Moreover, Europe has a series of strict regulations regarding the preservation of ancient architecture, such as grade-listed buildings in England. You can't easily demolish a historic street just to widen it for an 8-lane road. What are the consequences? Europeans have to live in a tightly compressed space every day. Narrow streets, small houses, low ceilings, small cars.
For any Brits watching this, America has 6 time zones. The UK has 1 time zone and it has 4 different countries. You can drive in Texas for 11 hours and still be in Texas. That is not a thing in the UK. Americans will drive 2 hours to work, to commute. Americans will drive 2 hours for food. I truly believe Brits cannot comprehend or grasp the sheer vastness and size of America until you've been there. I haven't seen all of America.
And this is the most valuable point in terms of spatial psychology. Living space essentially has the ability to shape the human mind. When you are continuously in a confined environment, the brain will unconsciously activate a defensive state, creating an invisible barrier in communication to maintain personal space. That's why Europeans tend to be more reserved and cautious. However, when they land in America, suddenly all visual boundaries are torn apart. Opening their eyes, they saw wide boulevards, vast skies, and courtyards without any fences. This liberation of space immediately liberates their mindset as well, making them feel free, open-minded, and more willing to be open than ever.
If you're from Europe, this completely breaks your brain. You meet someone at a networking event or a bar, you have this deep, high-energy conversation about business, life and passion projects, and you leave the interaction thinking, wow, I just made a genuine connection. But here's the culture shock. In the US, that intense friendliness isn't the start of a deep relationship. It's just a baseline for a polite, casual interaction. It's an amazing warm vibe in the moment, but it doesn't mean you're locked into each other's lives.
At this point, if you find this geo-economic perspective interesting and it opens up a new view for you on cultural differences, please take 2 seconds to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Your small interactions are the huge source of energy for the team to continue producing high-quality, in-depth analysis videos like this. Thank you all very much. The vastness of the space and roads is just the outer layer. What truly captivates the taste buds and makes European tourists do a complete 180-degree turn toward American cuisine, which they previously dismissed as junk food, lies in an extremely surprising detail. Is American food really better, or have Europeans' taste buds been manipulated? Let's move on to the next point right after this. Okay, now let's move on to the next shock, and perhaps the most painful shock for the stomachs of Europeans: American cuisine.
This is white bread from America, while this is white bread from England. American white bread is classified as a plastic in all 43 countries because it is virtually indestructible. Even if you smush it, it bounces right back into shape because of the number of chemical preservatives in this bread.
Before leaving, Europeans would say to each other, "Oh, come on, American food is just all about unhealthy fast food, ultra-processed, overly sweet, and lacking any sophistication." But the truth is, after returning home, their taste buds were literally devastated, because the food back home suddenly became so bland that it was hard to swallow.
It's bigger than your face.
Bigger than my head. I've been deprived my whole life from Texas barbecues.
I'm in America right now and I could cry because I've just found the thing that I miss the most when I go back home to the UK. Oh my God.
You heard it right. A British tourist just declared that the snow-like ice shaver in the US has changed his life. He even burst into tears because he missed it so much. Why can something seemingly simple like soda, shaved ice, and ranch dressing so deeply affect the spirit of a European tourist? From the perspective of food science and behavioral economics, there are 2 major secrets behind this shock. The first secret lies in the flavor industry. To be fair and humorous, traditional cuisine in some Nordic countries or the UK is famous for its modesty in spices. They tend to eat in a more original way, sometimes a bit bland.
Yeah, you want some? Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, but where's the seasoning? Are you wanting me out? No, where's the seasoning?
This is the seasoning. I'm salt and peppering it right now.
No, I'm talking about garlic, paprika, chili flakes, oregano.
You don't need all that. For chicken breast, all you need is salt and pepper. You actually want to taste the chicken, so that's how we're doing it.
No, I'm not eating that.
You see, a dish they season very simply. On the contrary, America is a country of cultural fusion. The American food industry has spent decades researching and optimizing what is called the bliss point, the point of maximum pleasure for the taste buds. A Texas BBQ rib is not just plain grilled meat. It is a combination of the 1-4-hour oak wood smoking technique, a rich marinade of spices, the buttery fat, and the sweet and tangy sauce. When a palate accustomed to light dishes encounters this explosion of flavors, their brain immediately enters a state of positive sensory overload. Not to mention, there is another secret, which is the economy of abundance. In Europe, when you order a soda, they give you a tiny glass bottle and charge you for every drop. You ask for a little extra sauce, and they add €1 to the bill. But what about in the US? You see, portion sizes in America are always enormous. Soft drinks come with free refills, and the cups are filled to the brim with ice. Even if you might not finish it, psychologically, this overwhelming sense of abundance creates an unconscious reaction. Customers feel they are being absolutely valued and pampered. And when they return home, Europeans have to pay for each tiny glass of water, each frugal portion, and they immediately fall into a state of disappointment. If you are also a food lover and have ever had a strong craving for a delicious dish from afar, please like this video and comment below which American dish you want to try the most. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue our journey of uncovering these interesting phenomena together. Speaking of customer pampering, cuisine is just the beginning. What truly causes the most severe culture shock for Europeans and also sparks the most debate on online forums is the American people. The friendliness, warmth, and the terms sweetie, honey used by strangers on the street, are they sincere or just fake for tips? The answer will make you ponder in the next segment right after this.
I feel like half of Scotland is here in Boston, and I love it. I feel at home.
Scenes that you will never see in the media. The enthusiastic crowd, not just the fans, but even the American police joined in. Europeans are known for their reserve. In many countries of the old continent, if a stranger suddenly smiles and strikes up a conversation with you on the street, their first reaction will be, "What does this person want to sell me?" Or, "Is there something wrong with them?" However, let's see what happens when they experience the real hospitality culture in the US. An English tourist in Florida even said, "Better to receive a somewhat forced friendliness than to have no friendliness at all." Do you understand what I mean? The statement of the British tourist in Florida was truly a psychological knockout. So let's dissect this phenomenon fairly and civilly from the perspective of social psychology and behavioral economics. First, let's decode the economic perspective. The leverage from tipping culture.
As a European in Los Angeles, I don't think I'll ever get used to the whole tipping culture. If I'm out at a restaurant for a few hours, fair enough. The servers absolutely deserve tips. But if I'm just grabbing a coffee at a cafe like I am right now, I mean, do I really have to tip? It's just so awkward having to make that decision right in front of the staff on that.
Many people often criticize the tipping system in the US. But from the perspective of service operations, tips are not merely an additional cost. They serve as an economic lever that fosters a proactive service attitude.
Guys, when you eat your meal, you need to tip your waiter, your waitress, your server. That is proper etiquette in the United States. I know in England it's different, but in England, your server, your waiter, waitress are paid significantly more per hour. In the United States, there is a tip. The tip is a large part of their pay. They need their tips to make what they need to make. So in the United States, unlike Europe, you tip typically 20%, 15 to 20% of the total bill.
In Europe, service staff receive a fixed hourly wage, regardless of whether they smile or are indifferent toward you. In the US, the income of servers is tied to the customer experience. What is the result? The staff proactively inquired, flexibly adjusted the dishes according to requests, creating an open and pleasant atmosphere. That's not insincere, it's professionalism and optimizing economic benefits for both parties. Secondly, from a psychological perspective, the concept of transactional civility. Suppose people smile or call you sweetie, honey, just because of social norms or work. Then, from a behavioral psychology perspective, that positive energy is still contagious. Such forms of address have created a concept called emotional safety. When you set foot in a foreign country, continuously receiving smiles, the welcome of "welcome in" or waves from car windows will immediately lower the defensive barriers in your mind. You feel welcomed, respected, and not judged. On the contrary, sincerity accompanied by a cold, distant demeanor in many other places inadvertently creates psychological stress for tourists. Europeans, when coming to America, have realized that friendliness, whether as a habit or a skill, still makes life much more pleasant. At this point, if you've ever found yourself in a funny situation because of the excessive friendliness of a stranger while traveling, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel to discuss even more interesting topics with our community. Thank you all for your companionship. The friendliness of the people or the free beers at the bar can warm the hearts of tourists. But the real awe, the thing that makes them call America a country from the future, lies in the seemingly absurd scale of the rest, stops along the highways. Have you ever thought that a gas station could astonish a British family to the point where they didn't want to step out? What is the secret behind the giant Buc-ee's gas station and the American convenience economy? Let's explore it together in the next section. If there is a moment during a trip to the US that leaves European tourists speechless, wide-eyed, and exclaiming, "What the hell is going on?" it is the moment they step into a rest stop on the highway. In Europe, gas stations are often just a small, dreary house selling a few cups of weak coffee, plates of cold sandwiches, and a restroom that sometimes requires a coin to unlock. But in America, they have upgraded this experience to a completely surreal level. Look at the bewildered and excited expressions of a British tourist family as they pull into a Buc-ee's gas station in Texas. Did you all see that expression? People are excited just because of the red and green light on the ceiling of the gas station restroom. It sounds funny, but it truly reflects a sense of astonishment about the scale. A gas station, as long as a football field, with hundreds of gas pumps selling everything from swimsuits, souvenirs, and hot barbecue to giant carrots dipped in peanut butter. So from an economic perspective, how did America turn a basic service into such an addictive experience? The secret lies in the shift from pit stop to destination station. In the convenience economy of the United States, a gas station no longer just serves the car, but it serves the people inside that car. Corporations like Buc-ee's understand that long-distance travel is very tiring. If they address the three core needs: super clean free restrooms, delicious food that explodes with flavor, and endless product choices, customers will proactively schedule stops there, spend money happily, and post videos showcasing their experience on social media. Secondly, there is the shock of 24/7 operations contrasting with service stagnation. British or European tourists are shocked when they come to the US because they are used to an early closing lifestyle. In many villages or small towns in England, at 5 p.m., the shops all simultaneously pull down their shutters. Needing to buy something for your child at 9 to 10 p.m. is almost an impossible task. However, in the US, the culture of 24/7 service and ultra-optimized supply chains make everything readily available at your fingertips. Need coffee at 2 a.m.? Yes. Need hot food in the middle of the night? Yes. Need to find a door-opening service? It's always available. The feeling of having everything you want immediately creates an immense satisfaction in terms of psychological comfort. They feel that all their personal needs are smoothly met by society. Imagine if back home you had a gas station as big as a hypermarket, where you could fill up your tank and enjoy a plate of juicy grilled ribs at the same time. Wouldn't that be amazing? If you find this gas station detail too unique, don't forget to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel to explore more interesting corners with us. However, the grandeur of the gas station or the highway is still just a superficial material value. What truly shakes the souls of the travelers, especially those who decide to move to the US, lies in a much deeper, intangible value. Why did a French girl burst into tears when she said, "In America, for the first time in my life, I could truly breathe"? The psychological trap of limitless boundaries and freedom of thought in America, how has it healed them? Let's move on to the next valuable point right now. If the 8-lane highways, the rich BBQ, or the gigantic Buc-ee's gas station only impress European tourists materially, what truly touches the deepest part of their souls, what brings them to tears and makes them unable to forget America, lies in an intangible value, the absolute freedom to be oneself and the limitless desire to live. In Europe, people take pride in a stable, orderly, and well-organized society. But the price to pay for that order is sometimes the strict, covert surveillance of the surrounding community. There is a quote from a French woman that I will always remember. "In America, I can finally breathe. In France, people judge you if you dare to dream too big, or simply dare to dream. You feel like you're living in a cage." Can you feel the choking emotion in the statement, "In America, I can finally breathe"? Why do people born in countries that the whole world admires for their quality of life, like France or England, feel like they are trapped in a cage? From a social psychology perspective, this is the moment we encounter two very profound cultural phenomena. First, the tall poppy syndrome in Europe. In many societies of the old continent, there has long been an implicit norm. You should live moderately, humbly, conform to the mold, and not stand out too much. If you boast about a dream that is too big, desire to earn a lot of money, or dress too differently, the natural reaction of the surrounding crowd will be to scrutinize, criticize, and bring you down to the average level. This scrutiny inadvertently creates a glass ceiling in the psyche, causing ambitious young people to constantly shrink themselves to fit the expectations of others. In contrast, America operates based on hyper-optimism culture. This is a land built by generations of immigrants, those who left everything behind in search of new opportunities. In the DNA of American society, personal ambition is not a bad thing. It is something to be celebrated. Do you want to start your own fashion brand? An American would say, "Great, where can I buy it?" Do you have a strange business idea? People will listen and encourage you to give it a try. In America, failure is simply a lesson on the path to progress, not a life sentence marking a stigma of shame. This no-ceiling mentality has become an extremely powerful soul-healing remedy for Europeans who have had to hold themselves back. When they came to America, they felt the burden of judgment completely lifted. They are free to wear the clothes they like, free to talk about their dreams without fear of being considered crazy. If you have ever had big dreams that no one believed in or felt tired from the judgments around you, please hit the like button on this video to let us know that you are not alone on that journey. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so we can spread even more positive energy together every day. That freedom and abundant energy of life are so wonderful. However, the greatest tragedy occurs right at the end of the trip. What will happen when you have just spent 2 weeks living in a vast, brilliant dream, only to step off the plane and face the gray sky, cramped room, and bleak reality back home? Syndrome. How has post-travel depression in the US weighed on their minds? Let's move on to the final part together, where emotions reach their peak right after this. All good things must come to an end, and every vacation must eventually conclude. But for European travelers after their journey in America, the moment they step through the airplane door to return home is when the real psychological tragedy begins. People often talk about the feeling of homesickness when traveling far, but here we are witnessing a completely opposite phenomenon. The intense longing for a foreign land and the deep disappointment when facing the reality back home. As soon as I stepped off the plane, a wave of depression hit me. As soon as I got home, I missed the air conditioning, the warm, sunny sky, the bustling atmosphere of Miami, or the vastness of Texas. From a psychological perspective, this is not simply the syndrome post-travel depression. It is a sharp cognitive dissonance between two completely contrasting life experiences. On one side, there are 2 weeks of living in superlative comfort, with vast freedom, indulgent tastes, and an abundance of positive energy. On the other side, there is a bleak reality, lacking everyday comforts and a somewhat restrictive living atmosphere. But what is the deeper truth behind this disillusionment? That is the complete collapse of the wall of prejudice built by the media. For many years, Europeans have been portrayed by their home media as a very negative image of America, a chaotic, divided nation with poor cuisine and rude people. They came to America with a defensive mindset and an expectation of disaster. However, upon arrival, reality shattered each brick of those prejudices. They did not find a disintegrating America, but rather strangers willing to pay for their meal at an Alabama Dutch, drivers waving from car windows, super clean rest stops, and a vibrant atmosphere full of enthusiasm. America is certainly not perfect. There are still dark corners and unique challenges here. But the truth is, America is much more vibrant, tolerant, and energetic than what sensational headlines would have people believe. And when the defensive boundaries were lowered, a simple miracle happened. Strange travelers from Europe began to feel that they truly belonged here. If you have accompanied me through all 6 points of analysis, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Your simple clicks are the biggest leverage that helps the YouTube algorithm bring this video to more viewers. Thank you for your amazing support. The journey of deciphering the reverse disillusionment of Europeans in America has reached its final notes. But before we part ways, we need to draw the most valuable lesson for ourselves: how to perceive a country, a culture, or a person without being manipulated by media biases. America, in the eyes of those who have experienced it firsthand, is not at all the dark gray picture painted by sensationalist headlines. That place is certainly not perfect, but it possesses a vibrant energy, an openness, and a convenient economy capable of shattering even the harshest prejudices. The biggest lesson here is not just the story of America, but how we choose to perceive the world. Sometimes, only by stepping out of the cage of one-sided information and lowering our personal defenses can we truly appreciate the genuine beauty of new lands and unfamiliar people. And what about you? Have you ever had a trip that completely shattered your initial prejudices? Or, if you have ever set foot in America, which detail from the free refill soda, the gigantic gas stations, or a stranger's smile on the street impressed you the most? Please share your story or personal perspective in the comments section below. I read all your comments, and who knows, your opinion might become the topic for the next analysis video on the channel. And if you find today's video brings you new knowledge, deep insights, and quality entertainment moments, please help me by hitting the like button, sharing this video with your friends, and especially by subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell right next to it. That is the biggest leverage to help the channel continue to create and bring even more in-depth analytical content in the future. This video is produced based on the compilation, reaction, and analysis of publicly shared personal perspectives from tourists and international content creators. All analyses in the video are for reference, educational purposes, and provide a multi-dimensional perspective on culture, economy, and society, with no intention to attack or defame any individual, organization, or country. Thank you for your viewership and support. Goodbye, and see you all again in the next analytical journeys.